It's still a pretty religious area in Colorado. So.
When I was a Christian preacher, I used to think it was really tough to be a Christian. Because the Bible says, "Blessed are you when men shall revile you and persecute you and say all manner of evil against you." And really tough because that world out there is against you. If you think it's tough being a Christian in today's society, try being an atheist. Christianity is status quo. Christianity is the basic cultural idea. Being a non-believer is different. Being a non-believer, you know, when I was growing up, you had to be something. People wouldn't ask, "Are you religious?" They would simply ask, "What religion are you?" Right? Without even the concept of being non-religious. Today, it's much more likely that somebody is non-religious than before. And you and your group, LIFT, right? L-I-F-T? Your group is evidence of that. Right now, some of you know because you read our newspaper. And by the way, there's some Freedom from Religion Foundation members here. Thank you for coming. Thanks for supporting the work that we do. So don't give the answer because you probably know this answer. But right now, you students, what is the fastest growing religion in the United States?
Mormonism.
Mormonism, you think?
Yes.
Wiccans?
Islam.
Islam?
Atheist, yeah. They're not religious.
According to recent surveys, and especially including ARIS, American Religious Identification Survey, Islam is growing, but it's not the fastest, and it's very tiny. Judaism is shrinking. Christianity is shrinking. Christianity is down in the mid-70% now, which is huge, but it's not like it used to be. Mormonism is, in the United States, not really growing, but in the world it is. And most of the Mormon growth in the U.S., whatever there is of it, is through breeding, basically, not conversion. But the ARIS survey and a bunch of other surveys since then have confirmed that right now the fastest growing religious identification is non-religion. More people are picking non-religion now than ever before. Back in 1990, about 7% of Americans picked no religion. In 2001, it was about 14.5%, a huge growth. And today it's closer to 16% of Americans who pick no religion. That doesn't mean they're all atheists, by the way. Some of those who pick no religion have some kind of spiritual beliefs of some sort. A lot of people who have studied these figures estimate that about 9 or 10% of Americans are what you would call thoroughly secular. Atheists, agnostics, freethinkers, secular humanists. So 20-some years ago when I started talking like this, I couldn't think of very many campus groups like LIFT. I could think of maybe 5 or 6 around the country. Today there are hundreds. They're sprouting up all over the place. And what's really funny is they're sprouting up spontaneously, which is how it should be. And a lot of them don't even know. They think they're the only one. There's these atheists on campus that say, "We need to fight back," or "We need to get together." So they start a group and they feel like, we must be the first in the country. When actually the Secular Student Alliance and Center for Inquiry and other groups, they have hundreds and hundreds of groups now, and they're getting together and comparing notes and all of that. So it's very encouraging to see what your group is doing here on this campus, not just for the cause of rationality and of science and of real humanistic reality, but as a sign, indication that something is happening. This country is changing, and we're going to catch up to Europe, I think. Look what happened in Europe. After centuries of religious fights, Catholics killing Protestants over what? Infant baptism or things like that. After centuries of all of that, today most Europeans are thoroughly secular. And it wasn't because of a movement. It wasn't because some atheist missionaries went over there and said, "By the way, did you know you have no soul? Did you hear the good news that when you die, you're going to rot?" It wasn't because of any organized effort to try to missionize atheism. Atheism and free thought is not that kind of a movement. There's no atheist bishops. You know what I mean? Suppose somebody in Fort Collins were to stand up and say, "I am now the atheist bishop of Fort Collins." Who would join? I mean, everybody would. It's a movement with no followers. It's a strange movement where every single person is their own leader, their own thinker. And if we do happen to accidentally get together in some common cause, I think that is a miracle. Talk about miracles. Try to organize non-believers who are opposed to this, organized religion. So it's kind of neat to see that happen. And for me, one of the greatest pleasures is traveling around to college groups like this and talking with students and young people who probably don't realize how good they've got it. It's going to get better. But right now, you are the least religious demographic in the entire country. 25 to maybe 30%, depending on where you live, now would call themselves secular, and it's staying that way. It used to be people would go to college and lose their faith, but then in their mid-20s they'd come back and get more conservative and raise a family and start going back to church. But it's not happening anymore. People are leaving the faith and staying out, realizing that there's better things to do with their time and their money and their energy than investing into this institution that's already overly wealthy and rich and corrupt. Why not actually do some real good in the real world? So I was cutting it close today. Originally I was going to fly straight here, and then I'm going, tomorrow I'm going to Laramie, and then Friday down to Denver. But then we got a call from 60 Minutes Australia last week.